Today, I am happy to have as a guest Mariah Carter, your redheaded investor. She's located near Raleigh, North Carolina, but serves nationwide. She and her partner have successfully secured $300,000 for a combination of real estate investors and small business owners. And she has a passion for helping others learn how to make $1 valued at $10 and $10 valued at $100, etc. Her mission is to educate 1 million people the value of the dollar and that you have more control than you think over your money. You also have a small book on Amazon about beginning a business venture without going into debt.
Yep. And
It's
I didn't use AI for that. That is me.
Well, that's pretty awesome. A lot of people aspire to be writers, but never actually take the jump.
Yep. Well, I joined a program that made you do it over a weekend. I was like, okay, I'll just do this. It's like my last job title on my W-2 job was the execution manager, which is such a terrible title, but it just means I get stuff done.
Execution manager. All right. Don't send me to Mariah, right?
No.
I want to live.
Exactly.
All right. Well, cool. I'm excited to have this conversation with you here on the Pot of Gold podcast. Why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, how you ended up becoming an investor and an entrepreneur? What was the story behind how you got started?
I'll try and be quick about it. I tend to be a bit wordy, but so I was about 46 years old when I overachieved in my W-2 job. And what I learned is that the higher you go up in your ranks, the more responsibility you have, but the less actual work that you do. And I'm a workhorse. So I was like, okay, well, I've gotten to this point. So I need to have fulfillment. I don't have children. I met my husband late in life. So we just have dogs. So
Furry children.
I got into real estate investing. What's that?
Furry children.
I do have furry children. And so I just got into real estate investing thinking I can help the fellow elders in my community and help them downsize to the next phase of their life, which we all go through. And then I just started kind of squirreling a little bit. I learned about accredited investor and I qualified for one. I learned about, I call it a financial awakening. I love that I'm on the Pot of Gold podcast because that's what we all want, is that pot of gold. And it's not really like this fantasy. It actually can exist for you. So I've invested in infinite banking concept. I learned about that. I invest in rather creative things. I'm a pretty risky investor, but I also have come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter what socioeconomic level you are. You have a brain, you have the power to control that dollar. And why would only the wealthy or the 1% know about money and we don't, and the lower tiers? And we are getting a greater divide between the wealthy and I call it the haves and the have-nots. And I'll give you a little inside scoop. Actually, a good majority of the people in the 1% have no idea about money. They just happen to either have acquired it or it just comes easy to them and they don't know how to invest for themselves. And they could end up in the poorhouse themselves at some point in their later years. People take advantage of them. So what I would love to do is my mission is to help 1 million people in 5 years understand that they have control over the dollar.
I like that. And, I think you're right. And I think a lot of people in the audience would understand the example of like professional sports players that earn all kinds of money, but then they turn around and they file bankruptcy.
Yeah.
That's a good example.
Yep. Or people who win the lottery. My husband always jokes, we should win the lottery. I'm like, then more than half of that's going to get taken by taxes.
Yeah.
And then what do you like? So think about that. And there's also tax loopholes. I met a rather famous person in our circles, Mark Kohler. I'll just name drop him. He's my favorite. And I'm a total groupie for him. So when I actually met him recently, I said to him, you're like my Joey McIntyre of New Kids on the Block, because he's a CPA and a lawyer. And he can give you that beautiful blueprint on how you can manage your life and pull your family involved as well and be a responsible U.S. citizen, but you are using your money for your advantage, for your generational wealth future. And I mean, the picture I put on my LinkedIn, I'm like a giddy schoolgirl. I had to send the picture to my husband first before I posted it. I just had to tell him.
We all have those things, right? We all kind of nerd out about stuff.
Total nerd out. And I'm not even like super like accounting savvy. I just love this guy and what he is doing for all of us investors or any citizen.
That's really neat. One of the things that I really liked about reading Think and Grow Rich was that success leaves clues, and that people do business with those they like, know, and trust. And so that's part of the reason we get on podcasts like this, is because we want people to be able to understand and know us. even though we're just one person, this allows us to extend our reach and get to allow people to get to know us a little bit.
Absolutely. And it's one of my favorite things. I actually have identified 2 things I must have in a given at least week. I need 30 minutes of fresh air, and I need to be around other like-minded people. That it just fills my cup. If I can help them, I've had a great week.
I think that I agree with that 100%. It's been pretty life-changing for me to go for a run every day, which was actually kind of a shock. I didn't think that was something that I would ever do.
Well, run?
No, I wasn't ever into exercise, but when my wife and we struggled with infertility for over 8 years, and they said if you want to boost your testosterone to increase your chances, you better start exercising.
I did not know that. Okay.
And so that's what I started doing, and I decided that, you know what, I kind of like this. Weird that I never even bothered to experiment with it before. But well, enough about me. Let's talk a little more about how you ended up doing the whole investing strategies and stuff. I imagine you're part of Subto and the Gator communities with Pace Morby.
Yep. I joined Gator first. I did nothing with it. I handed it to a friend of mine. I said, hey, I paid for it. You learn it. She learned about Subto. She goes, Subto's our jam, or her jam. And so she tried to get me to do it. I didn't do it for a while. And then I joined Subto, and within like a month or 45 days, I joined Owners Club. So with Pace Morby, I'll name drop Pace Morby because I don't know how far this podcast has reached. I hate name dropping when people don't know.
Yeah.
We use like our industry terms.
Well, I think that people should have some curiosity too. If they want to know who that person is, they go look into them. They've got plenty of content out there on the interwebs.
That's very true. Like I think he came across on a feed of mine on Facebook. I will say about Pace Morby, what I do appreciate about him is he is always looking for investment opportunities, but when he talks to you, he actually speaks to you. And like in a room of 3,000 people, he will know people by name. I take that as integrity. I also feel like he treats you as if you're a good friend. So he's not going to try and I don't feel like I'm being sold. I'll say that. And then I'll also say about the people in his community. I've been in sales most of my life, over 30 years. And I hate to say it, but I've gone through from the 90s and the 2000s and all that. And not to be rude to your gender, but as a female, there's that sexism or something of some level. Like there's some sort of like that weird vibe that you can get where somebody's like ill nefarious. I really have not had that feeling in any of the people of the male gender in Pace Morby's group. Everybody there is about giving back. They're literally me, but in male form, and they just want to do better. And I love that. And I feel like, I only have brothers, so I'm used to being the sister, and I just feel like I'm in a room full of my brothers and sisters, which is super weird, but I've never felt more at home. So I'll just say that, like my weirdness, I didn't really realize how weird I was until people in my family would tell me how weird I am. And then I get into a room with thousands of other people and they all think like me and are just as weird as me. I'm like, this is great. Like-minded people.
Find like-minded people. It's a big progress amplifier, I think. Because I was very scared of things when I first got started, and they just made it easy to make mistakes and not feel like I was going to be, I don't know, drugged before a mob and put to the stake,
Exactly. I know. Yeah. You don't feel like that at all. Like once you start opening up, it's amazing. I will say this. I went to Squat Up Summit last year. And I don't know why, but on the top floor of the hotel was this bougie like bar and fancy dinner. Like a glass of wine was $30. It was silly. But I was like, I just want to sit in this room and just feel what this would feel like if I had like a crap ton of money. And then I saw this room in the side. It was this beautiful dining room with French doors. And I was like, I envisioned a bunch of women investors sitting around that table. And I'm like, I'm manifesting this. I went to the maitre d' and I was like, okay, this is Saturday night. Could I get a dinner here Sunday night? He said, well, we're closed Sunday night. We could do Monday night. Monday night was the last night of Squat Up. And I was like, all right, how many people can fit? He goes, 18. And I hustled the next day, Sunday, and part of Monday. And I was able to get 15 random ladies that did not know each other that were at Squat Up to meet for dinner that night. And it was a beautiful night. We got to collaborate, commiserate. We called it such a special night that we got together. And people were very, very honest in that night. And we still have those relationships going forward. It's just an amazing group of people, just straight up. I can't say it enough. But if I could do that again, I would.
I like that you did that because I've been told that if you don't have the room you want to be in, go create it yourself.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So yeah, so I'm on this trajectory of, it's weird. I went from real estate investing to, and I'll be honest, 2025, I don't know if you've experienced this. 2025 wasn't the best year for investors. A lot of issues with permitting or state legislation changing. So as a private money lender, your money's tied up longer than you had expected.
Yeah.
So I had to pivot. And what I had discovered was there's so many of us real estate investors, whether we're a private money lender or the fix and flipper or the person who's looking to acquire property, you all have what common issue: money. So my business partner and I identified that if we could just get our hands on a system that could solve those problems with people who are over leveraged in their real estate investing, we could help out so many people. And so we started putting our heads down like 100 days ago. And now we've helped out at least half a dozen people at this point, and we're still working with existing clients. My goal is to take that to the next level and be like, okay, we've now helped you prepare to we got you this business funding to help you either extend you being a private money lender, because you can do that. You can use cash to be a private money lender using business funding, or you could now settle your debts and you got your property either DSCR'd or able to sell off and you made your money back, settle your debts. Now I'm looking at it and saying, let's strategically prepare you to get this funding. Let's have an actual plan. Once you secure that funding, I work with you to make sure you're utilizing it effectively. And then we're now investing in a system where, say you have loans outside of this project we're working on, and that would help you alleviate that pressure. We're now providing a software system where you could just upload your financials and it'll help you calibrate all of your loans that you have in your life that don't have to go out 30 years, 10 years, even 5 years. You could have it all settled within 2 years or less. It'd be kind of amazing if we could help people really make that money, not bad debt, but good debt. I
Yeah.
want to be the Robert Kiyosaki kind of like mentality.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, that's from Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where he talks about good debt and bad debt.
Yep.
And personally, I struggled with that concept because the whole mindset around debt my whole life was you don't go into debt, you never have it, and it's always bad. But his explanation about how you could change the way cash flow works so it's actually making money for you. I probably wrestled with that concept for a good year and a half before it finally clicked.
Yeah, it is a mind mess up in your head because you're just stuck with that debt. Like even people who understand it can still fall in that bucket of like, no, I went in too deep on this, like
Yeah, I
juggling the
got to
good
pay it
debt,
off
bad
as fast
debt.
as possible.
Exactly. But I just see it as an opportunity to get it to be good debt. And that means cash flow, like you said. That game he has, cash flow, can be played by yourself, honestly. So I've been struggling to I bought it for myself. I waited like 2 years because I hate following instructions. Being an entrepreneur, there's no glass ceiling, there's no instructions. You don't have parameters. Like the
Yeah.
sky's the limit. That's what you think, right?
You got
So
to
I
be a little
hate
bit of a
having,
rebel to be an entrepreneur, right?
you do. But I've been told you can play that game by yourself. So I'm like, I need to do that. So like this weekend, I plan on doing that this weekend.
Well, I have a lot of fun with it. And I hope that once my son gets old enough, well, I'll be able to play it with him. He's only
That's
3.5
awesome.
right now. So it's more
Oh
about
yeah,
pushing things around and seeing how funny things look, spinning wheels, throwing dice.
the fun age.
It's definitely fun. And I like being a dad. So you've talked about this problem you're helping people solve. How did you identify that was the problem you were qualified to solve?
I was qualified. I'd say because it has always interested me. I don't know. I have a cousin on Section 8. Like, I grew up within my means. I remember going to the grocery store and my mom would give me that long envelope from the back of a letter from the mail. And she'd take me to the grocery store and we had a budget. And I had to write down the price of each item that she put in the cart. And if it went over budget, you'd have to put it back. So money's always been like the forefront of my mind. I always just thought I made it when I made six figures. I remember calling my dad when I made like $110,000 in a year for my job. And I was like, Dad, I made it. Like I'm the last kid to make it. And he was like so proud of me. But then as I kept working, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Why does corporate America have to dictate what my value is?
Yeah.
Like I'm just as valuable as anything out there. So I'm as valuable as my work ethic is. But I don't have to be the only person that thinks like this. And I love talking to somebody who is trying to understand that mindset. Oh, but I grew up with no money. My husband grew up on like food stamps. Like I don't know what that is. Like that's not for me. Yes, it is for you. How many times have you seen people make millions just by having an idea and then just putting it out there?
There's so many millions. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to
Yeah,
say there's so many millionaires created in America every year.
absolutely. And also people who plummet if you don't keep your eye on the ball,
Yeah.
right? So that's why I love the strategy piece. Like, I'm not a financial advisor. I wouldn't even call myself a financial consultant. I'm more of like a business strategist. Like, how you bring in that skill set of like optimizing, right? Would you say it's optimizing like your workflows?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I do is I help people get clarity on their roadmap. I help
Yes.
them optimize what that looks like, who they're actually supposed to be helping, what pain they're supposed to be solving, and then how to put all the systems in place so that they can deliver that result to their client.
Yeah, so the systems place is where I have a gap. So mine is like along the line of yours. So I have two skill sets I've learned I have in the last 3 years. One, I'm really good with names. So like if I know your name, but I don't know your face, the second you say your name, I'll be like, oh, I remember when we talked about X, Y, and Z. Like I'll remember that stuff, which is pretty kind of cool. The other one is having the ability of looking at someone who, I mean, it's me, like I'm very squirrely. Like, how do I pull together all the things I'm trying to do? I know all these things about investing. I know all these things about like money management and how can you make that dollar $10, that $10 $100, and so on and so on. How do I help somebody else understand that, and how do I explain that to somebody? That it's been I usually get the blinks. I don't know, like ding 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 ding. What are you talking about?
Deer in the
So like
headlights look.
exactly, like what is the redheaded investor? And I've been struggling with myself, but I know for sure that when it comes to money management, there has to be a strategy for it. And you have to be ready to go down that rat hole because it's like losing weight. Like I was always a healthy individual. I was a runner. I call myself a recovering marathoner. I run the Boston Marathon like 5, 6 times. I'm from Boston, but I live here in Raleigh. I ran a marathon in Paris, Dublin, Ireland. Like that was my jam. I wouldn't even train. I would just go and do it. But I had issues afterwards. My knees hurt, my butt
Mm,
hurt, like I'm dehydrated and I feel sick. But if I planned for it and strategized for it, then I could go out that night and have a Guinness. You know what I mean? Like and not be sweating it. That's the kind of life I want people to have when they get into this world. Real estate investing is not for the faint of heart.
no.
Everything. I will tell you this, Nathaniel, like when people come to you and they say, "Oh my gosh, I would love to invest in real estate. Like I've got an extra $20,000, $30,000." And you say, "Yeah, you do." Are you okay with maybe not
Losing
getting
it.
that back?
Yeah.
Maybe you got to wait another 12 months to get that back? Oh, really? Yeah. The returns sound nice, but you got to really do that soul searching. Am I that level of a risk taker that I'm willing to do that? What parameters do you have in place? What kind of legal documents do you need to sign to make sure? One thing I caught with people is they don't read documents.
Yeah.
The first thing they taught me in Catholic school, read the instructions before
Yeah.
you do the homework.
Well, interesting thing about that is that I found that you can use AI as kind of a
Yes,
explain legalese to me. And so
totally.
it makes it so much easier to read the contracts. You still have to understand what's going on, but it kind of takes the legalese out of it and puts it into plain English.
Yep.
And that's a huge help.
That helps a heap ton.
That's
Yeah.
something you have a hard time with is reading contracts. Use AI to help you get it into more of a plain English, and then you'll be able to understand what's going on with those.
1,000%. But just know what you're signing and why you're
Yeah,
signing it, right?
don't
And
sign it
what
before you
are
understand it.
right, and like what are your what ifs? Like what if this should happen? So that's another thing.
Hmm.
But I think to your point when you said what triggered us to me and my partner to identify there's an issue, I will tell you exactly what happened. So we knew we wanted to offer people 0% business credit cards, personal term loans, pay down your debt so your FICO score goes up and now you can apply for those business credit cards. But
Hmm.
I was at an owners club event. Where was I? I forget what state. Anyway, you meet 4 times a year. And Pace Morby gave us 45 minutes to walk around the room. And he was like, if you have a question, somebody in this room guaranteed has the answer. So I did two things. I went over and I signed my partner and I up to coach a semester on business credit, business funding. And then the other person I went to was someone I knew in the circles that was scheduling one-on-ones with individual owners club members. I'm gonna share this out there. And that person said to me, I said to her, like, this is what we're offering. Where do you see this as a need in the community? And she said, oh my gosh, I can tell you right now, most people in this community are in credit card debt. they're over leveraged in their real estate. If you guys
Mm.
can solve that problem, holy heck. And I was like, that's it. Ding, ding, ding went off in my head. I called my business partner because she couldn't make it. And I called her. I was like, yo, we need to promote this and get this out there and start helping as many people as possible. And I will tell you this, we could charge a crazy fee. I've heard people getting charged 10% no matter what they get. We don't charge that. We keep it quite nominal. This is not what's going to like feed us. We're on a mission to help people manage their entrepreneurial journey, their real estate investment journey in a very strategic manner. And we just wanted to be the experts on this. We're always learning. It's always
Yeah.
changing. So we're not like, I don't know if I would ever say I was an expert in it. I would just say I'm a resource.
I think that it's good to know that sometimes, trying to think how to articulate this, I think that relationships that you build through service like this are also investments that can pay huge dividends in the future. And you really have to think about it as a long game kind of a thing. Now, that's not to say that there's a guarantee that they'll pan out and be good resources in the future, but there are certain games that you play that you don't win unless you go all in. And I feel like this might actually be one of them, where if you're not constantly cultivating relationships all the time, then the win condition doesn't ever get created.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I had a potential client of mine and we worked on her strategy. Some of the things I suggested to her don't pay me anything, but she did it anyway. She loved it. She came to me and said, I'm not ready to get the business funding because I don't need it yet. And I know that I will eventually. So you're on my radar, but I got access to this other solution I think could help you. I'm like, boom, that helps expand my business. So I'm a huge fan of not seeing competition. I see it as collaboration. And like, how can we fill each other's cups and gaps?
Well, I think that's a good thing about being differentiated in the market too, because if no one does quite what you do, then competition doesn't really exist because you're one of a kind.
Right. Well, I also think of this too, Nathaniel. Think about it. How many four-way intersections do you have where you see a Burger King, a McDonald's, a Five Guys, maybe a
Yeah,
Taco
that
Bell?
too.
They're still thriving and having business. It doesn't matter. A burger's a burger.
Yep.
Depends on the fries.
What you have a hankering for that day.
Exactly.
Well, that's phenomenal. I really like that you have been able to identify that and start solving the problem for people. And you have such a good perspective about it. I guess the question for the audience that would be asking is, how can they connect with you? How do they reach out to you and find out about how to work with you?
So what I'm offering right now is like a free 30-minute session to sit down with me and tell me like basically your story. Tell me what you're struggling with. What is it about your business? And I can help you navigate that and tell you you are ready to get business funding, or maybe you're not. Maybe we got some homework to do. And I don't mind to be a part of that journey. So 30 minutes with me and I can help narrow it down for you. And what I'd love to do is just at minimum a 30-day plan. Best case, 90-day, because you really don't see the fruits of your labor until 90 days from now. So I would love to see that person succeed in 90 days. If they do it in 30, it'd be even better.
Yeah, awesome. And what channel would they connect with you on? Is it through like a website, a social media platform?
We do have a website, but I like to just schedule a call with me. I've got my Google link. I know everybody uses Calendly, but guess what? Google's free. Think about that. And that's what I talk about in my book a little bit, is just using those free services just to get started. So schedule a 30-minute call with me on my Google link, and we can get started from there. I am on social media. I've got a Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as Mariah Carter, your Redheaded Investor. That would be the one that you can DM me on as well. My business is called Ground Up Solutions, and that is with my partner, Don Soroyce. So that is groundupsolutions.org. But I'd like to talk to you first before I start showing you what I got. Like, let's just talk first.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I'll make sure to put all those links into the YouTube description so people can reach out to you if they decide that they want to do that. But before we get off the call here today, I was just curious, do you have any advice for people who are just getting started? Any recommendations on resources to use, whether they have problems they might run into that they should be aware of? Just anything you can think of.
It's kind of a broad question because it's more of like, okay, is the issue money? Is the issue focusing on a business?
How about this? What was the thing that you needed to focus on when you first got started that you would have liked to have known?
I'll just say this. It took me 3 years to get to this point. So I'll say this. When someone tells you you need to stick to one thing, and I still hate it, you should. At least for 90 days. doesn't mean it's forever. Like, I hate when anyone tells me I can't do something. I hate when they say, well, you can't do 3 things at the same time. There are plenty of successful entrepreneurs that do it. But if you haven't had success yet in one thing, you might want to do that one thing first, at least for 90 days. I did not give myself that grace. If I didn't see, it's like, again, it's like losing weight. If I don't see results in 2 weeks, I'm going to go right back to eating my carbs because I like them. They don't like me.
Those darn
But
cards.
stretch it out to 90 days and you'll see a result. I would just pick one thing. I would pick one thing for 90 days and focus on that. And then I wouldn't even worry about the money yet. Don't get bought into creating an insurmountable amount of LLCs to get started. Don't spend all your money on all these marketing stuff. Stick to Google. I hate to say it. Google is right there for most people. You don't even need a Calendly link. You can record calls on Google. So start with that first. Get really good and efficient on scheduling your calendar even. And just don't spend the money that you don't have as income yet if you don't have to.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it was Caroline Kane. She does daily dials in the Subto community and focuses on pre-foreclosure. She said something along the lines of, act like you're broke until you generate at least $30,000 of income for 3 months in a row.
Oh, for 3 months in a row?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that seems like it's going to be really hard for people to do because we all have that fear of missing out and we all want to go faster. And so we all try to pay for instant solutions.
Yeah. I mean, and I will tell you, I started using Gemini, which is free with Google. And I can generate images on that one for me being, as I do my presentations for my clients or building out my sales team of 5 people. Like, I was able to use AI to build that out so it looks like we're all together. It's pretty badass. That's like,
pretty cool.
And I'm not technical. Gemini, I'm telling you, is weird. Instead of I paid for so many cloud tools and like AI tools, but it's right there. It's Google. It's free.
Well, phenomenal advice. And I loved hearing about your story today. And I just want to let everyone in the audience know that if you want to reach out to her, you'll be able to find those in the description. If you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please go ahead and do that. It's an easy way that you can support the channel for free. I'm not asking for any money or anything. Just help me get the word out so that other people can get the insights on how to build their business, become entrepreneurs, and break that glass ceiling that they have when they're 9 to 5.
Yeah, I like this pot of gold. I like it, Nathanael. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you on the show today. This has been the Pot of Gold podcast, and you all have a wonderful day.